Welcome to the Mindful Nomad podcast. I'm your host, Miguel Gutierrez. This podcast is an exploration into the world of creatives, community leaders, and entrepreneurs, taking a deep dive into their lives, focusing strongly on lifestyle, spirituality, mental health, and education. So grab a seat, relax, and join me for this exciting journey through conversations with other mindful nomads. This was previously recorded for the podcast Travel Cuts and Consciousness, but I've decided to keep it on a playlist as it still aligns well with the Mindful Nomads podcast. Enjoy. Welcome to a brand new episode of Travel Cuts and Consciousness. I'd like to introduce you to our guest today, Mark Bustos. Mark started his journey in the world of hair at the young age of 14 and worked his way up in some of the most prestigious hair salons in the US. Mark has been awarded for his humanitarian efforts for his project Be Awesome to Somebody, as well as his talents as both a hairstylist and an educator. Having been featured in publications across the globe, I'm very happy to be hosting Mark on my podcast. So yeah, Mark, how are you? And did I miss anything out?
What's going on, man? No, there's not much about me. I'm a kind of boring person. Just kidding. It's good to see you, man. You look good. Your hair's really long. You look like you got a really cool professional studio going on at home over there.
I know. It's funny as well because I've got like my pajama pants on and I'm covered in a blanket because there's no radiators in this room. It's so cold because I'm getting like housework done. But this way looks great. That way it looks like terrible. But it's hot showbiz, baby.
I wish I knew we were going to be video recording. I would have wore like what I'm wearing now up top and my underwear underneath and walked away from the screen real quick.
So, I remember that crop top you have that I saw you in last time. That looked really good.
Did you like that?
Yeah. Sick. So yeah, what's going on during this lockdown period for you? What are you up to?
Man, just trying to keep as busy as possible. I mean, some days are busy, some days are not. The non-busy days are kind of nice though, because being busy, traveling around for how many years now, nonstop, all I've ever wanted was to be home. And now here we are, just locked down at home. So it's actually kind of nice, and I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same. Like it's something I was wishing for a holiday. I know it's not a holiday, but just having the time to, not be getting calls every day about texts, just constantly about certain different things. And it's nice just to find some stillness in the world.
For sure. I mean, all I ever wanted to do was be home on my couch, and here I am. I'm actually home on my couch. So this is where I want to be right now.
And you're getting some nice time with the little lady as well.
Yeah. My daughter's mother and I split her 50-50, and she lives about a 5-minute walk away. So we make it work, and yeah, it's been nice.
Perfect. So tell me a little bit about your early years anyway. Did you grow up in New York City?
I grew up in New Jersey, about 10 minutes away from Manhattan. Super close. And yeah, I mean, I've always been a New Yorker at heart. I was born in New York City. I was the only one in my family that was actually born in Manhattan. So it's like something that I didn't know back then, but it's something that I feel like just draws me back to New York City, more so than the rest of my family,
Yeah. So everyone else was born in the Philippines?
My brothers and sisters were all born in New Jersey, and my parents were born in the Philippines.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Nice. And when did they make their way over?
I'd say probably like early 1980s.
Yeah. Is there a story to that? Because I know there's quite a big Filipino community in. I know around like New York. Definitely, is there quite a bit of history with Filipinos going to the US?
I don't really know the exact reasoning behind Filipinos traveling to New Jersey. There are a lot of Filipinos in New Jersey. Right now, I'm living in Jersey City, New Jersey, which is in the heart of where all the Filipinos have gone to. But yeah, for some reason, there's a lot of Filipinos in New Jersey. I don't know what it is about it, but my parents are here, and yeah, that brought me here.
Because it's funny, I don't think until I went to the US, I'd actually met a Filipino, because I've never met any in the UK. I'm sure there's some down in London, but up in the north of England, there's pretty much zero. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of Filipinos on the East Coast and the West Coast, like especially in California, like Los Angeles, San Francisco. A ton of Filipinos there too.
Pretty much headed to all the cool spots.
Yeah, that's it.
Filipinos are hipsters.
Yep.
And for the people at home who may not be familiar with your work, or yourself as well, can you tell us a bit about the start of your career and how you entered the world of hair?
I actually started doing hair when I was 14 years old. I started doing hair out of my parents' garage, and I've never had another job since. That's all I've ever done for work is hair. And just started doing people in high school, fucking everybody's hair up. I didn't give any good haircuts back then. But they say you learn everything best through trial and error, and that's what I was able to do is learn through trial and error. Eventually went to hair school and all that kind of stuff, but there's a lot in between from when I was 14 up until now. There's a lot to talk about with my whole journey in hair. But yeah, it's been amazing. I've been doing hair 21 years now.
Wow, it's crazy. Well, long. I think Jody was saying yesterday it's been around a similar time for him, and the time just flies, doesn't it? You don't.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
Was it predominantly male friends that you started doing at first?
Yeah, I started fucking up my male friends, and eventually I would get like female people that would come to me and be like, "Hey, can you do this? Can you do that?" And my answer was always yes, even though I knew in my own head that I've never done it before and I was not capable of doing it. I kind of just threw myself in that position to just at least try.
Yeah.
And I mean, it wasn't always pretty, but the end result to now is a good result.
Well, but I think something that strikes me about you is that you definitely know how to handle your clippers really well. You're really good in all aspects of from like classic haircuts and barbering to all the way to obviously long hair and hair ups, everything like that. So the most of your clipper work and skills come from those early days.
Yeah, yeah. I've actually, personally, I've never taken a men's haircutting class in my life.
Wow.
I've taught a lot, but I've never taken one. Um, yeah. So clipper work. I've learned all clipper work just working out of the garage and just working my way through different barber shops. And then eventually I started. I went to hair school, went to cosmetology school, learned how to do longer hair and all that, and then just invested my way through advanced education in hair cutting, but not men's hair cutting. It was just mostly women's hair cutting and just educating, going through like Sassoon training and all that kind of stuff. Actually, in London. And I was able to kind of just marry both worlds between barbering and hairdressing, and here I am. I mean, I get a lot of my clients that say, first time clients that would sit in my chair and be like, "Oh, I would have to go to Harlem to get my fade and go downtown to get the top cut," when there's no reasons for that, So just being able to kind of do a little bit of both is very it's great.
It's beneficial, definitely.
Yeah.
Did you take a longer Sassoon course over here, or was it one of the shorter ones?
No, it was a bunch of shorter ones between like ABC cutting was my first Sassoon course, and then go into the creative hair cutting stuff. And that's when it really opened everything up, just learning the foundations and then learning creative sides. You're able to kind of just open up your mind to be able to do anything in the hairdressing world.
Mm. And were your family quite supportive with your decision to move into hair?
Yeah, they've always been very supportive. My mom bought me my first pair of clippers when I was 14, and she also drove me up the street to a garage sale where I saw a barber chair, a styling chair for $20.
Wow.
And she helped me go pick it up and put it in the back of the trunk and brought it into the garage, and I still have that chair today.
Oh, really?
Cool thing about that chair, it's probably a 1970s or 80s Takara Belmont chair. And when I opened up my first salon in New Jersey, I reached out to Takara Belmont, and they actually had the exact same chair, but a new model of it. So I bought 10 of them, and now they're all in my salon.
Which model is it?
Oh, man. I don't remember the exact name of it, but it's just like a clean, classic kind of look to it.
Yeah.
I'll get the name of it for you, though.
Yeah, sick. Yeah, I mean, you can't really go wrong with them, and that's a bargain.
I got it. The Chenison chair. Chenesen. Chenesen. Chenison.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, the quality chairs. I mean, if you go to speak to anyone about what are the best chairs to cut hair out of, everyone always says to cut
Always to
Belmont.
Carabel, they got the best stuff.
Yeah, I think it's I think that's all we've got in our two shops actually. It's just we've got about 12. I've got about 4 separate as well, like 1970s. I mean, they're starting to fall apart them ones, but you can still cut hair in.
Yeah, not only is it a good chair, I mean, it's just their customer service, and they're just always on top of everything if anything ever happens. So, to Carabel for the win.
This what is it? This episode is sponsored by Dakar Belmont. So where did you actually go to cosmetology school?
I went to a place called Artistic Academy in New Jersey.
Yeah,
it was a proper. What's up?
No, go on. You go.
Yeah, it was just a proper cosmetology school that required the state of New Jersey required 1,200 cosmetology school hours.
Yeah.
So completed all that. But funny story is that what most people don't know about me is that I went to hair school. I went to cosmetology school after I graduated with a bachelor's degree in college. And to this day, I've never picked up my college diploma.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You never needed to. But has it been beneficial having that? Yeah, I mean, for you on a personal level?
As the only benefit I get from having a bachelor's degree in business management is bragging rights. That's it. I own businesses and stuff. I learned a little bit through college and in business school, but you don't have to go to business school to learn how to open a business and to know how to run a business. I mean, it's just straight hustle.
Yeah.
Hustling is what really enables you to run a business, to be honest, because you learn everything as you go.
I think every business book I've ever read has always said the only way to learn about business is to be in business.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's pretty much every entrepreneur.
So when I graduated from high school, I went straight to college to get my bachelor's in business. And it wasn't until after my sophomore year in college, my father comes up to me and he's like, "Hey, Mark, when are you going to go to hair school?" And I was like, "Are you kidding me? Like, I've been going to college just to make my mom and dad happy." And then now he's asking me when I'm going to hair school. So my junior and senior year in college, I stopped buying books. I stopped doing homework. I stopped taking notes. But what I did learn was how to hustle. It was something no professor was going to really teach me how to do, and I had to teach myself how to hustle. And what I did was I gave haircuts in exchange for homework and notes and all that kind of stuff. And I would just just study the night before and just kind of crash everything into my brain and do well on the tests. I was always a decent test taker. So all it really was just kind of just memorizing things just for 12 hours. But the ultimate thing I learned out of all of it was how to hustle. And so I didn't buy any more books. I saved my money and I continued to do hair and make money.
And has that led you down any of the paths of like doing stage work or education work on stage?
What was the question, sir?
Have you moved much into like doing stage work with hair? Have you been to many of the shows and?
Yeah. I've done a bunch of shows through America, through the ISSE Long Beach, California, Premiere Orlando, New York IBS, and pretty much yes, and a lot of shows with Behind the Chair on their main stage and stuff. So the first time I ever did it was actually with Maddie Conrad in Chicago back in 2015. We were at the Chicago Theater, which is an iconic stage. It's the first time ever that I was going to be on stage in front of all those people. There was probably like 2,000 people in attendance that day, and wow. And yeah, that rush that I got after that first time up until now, I mean, you're always going to have that rush before you get on stage and when you get off stage too. So it's an incredible feeling. It's really cool.
Yeah, I think every time I'm going to go on stage, because I'm not someone who's on stage a lot. So it's maybe like once a year or twice a year, if that. I always feel like I'm going to faint.
Yeah, man. I mean, I still get the butterflies up until this day. But the one thing I was never good at was being on on stage in front of a lot of people, or just public speaking in general. Even when I was in school, I remember being in high school, and the teacher would ask to raise your hand if you know the answer to the question, and I would raise my hand and automatically put my hand down because my heart starts beating the second I put my hand up without even speaking. So that it was always a big obstacle for me to be able to get past that stage fright, But the more you do it, the better you get at it. And I had a very good client of mine that actually told me once. I was like, hey, no names here, but he was like, hey, I was like, hey, you're on TV all the time. You're always like, hosting different things. Do you ever get nervous? And I was asking him this because he's a very normal person, just real cool, down to earth guy. And he was like, I get nervous every single time. He said he hates doing it. And he said, don't tell anybody I told you this, but he actually took beta blockers, which is a heart medication.
Yeah.
And what it does is not like a Xanax or something where like you get all kind of drowsy and stuff.
Slows your heart down.
It just regulates your heart rate. So I was like, wow, like I'm going to have to try that before I get on stage next time. And it's not something you can get addicted to because you don't even know if it's working or anything. And it turns out it was something I actually needed. It was like an anxiety medication.
Oh, yeah. I've been prescribed it before.
Oh, you have?
Yeah. I never took them because I was worried my heart was going to stop. I was just super worried. She was like, it might work, it might not. So I just never took them.
Yeah. Yeah, so I when he told me that, I went to the doctor to ask him about it, and the doctor prescribed it for me. Obviously blood work and all that kind of stuff, make sure it's safe to take. So the first time I took it before I got on stage, I'm walking on stage and I'm like, shit, it's not working. Like nothing's happening. Like it's now I'm fucked. And it's a handheld microphone and everyone's going to see me shaking. And I got there and I sat down and I looked at my hand and it was stiff as a stone. I was like, oh shit, it's working. And it worked like a charm. I was like, oh shit. So, but that was years ago. Now I don't have to take them at all.
Yeah.
Just kind of.
Well, you give me an idea there anyway. I'm going to go through the cupboard after this and try and find them. Is it something that you struggle with anyway, anxiety, generally?
No, I'm not a very anxious person, but I am an introvert at heart. And now I guess I can say I'm a trained extrovert.
Yeah.
I can turn it on when I need to.
Yeah. I think I'm very much the same, to be honest. I find it surprising that I do YouTube videos and do stuff out in the public space because I'm very much away from it whenever I'm not doing that, I just lock myself away. Bit of a hermit.
Yeah.
So what was the next question? Yeah, so I haven't seen you for a few years. Obviously, last time I saw you was in New York and we went out partying. But you've opened 2 stores since then. How did they both come about? Because I remember you were planning one when I was there. And then I know you've got 2 now.
Yeah, so the first salon I opened is in Summit, New Jersey. It's about 35 minutes west of Manhattan. It's going on 2 years now that it's been open. And it's going really well. I mean, smooth sailing. I just opened up a brand new hair salon 4 months ago in Manhattan, in the hottest part of Chelsea / meatpacking Manhattan. What sucks is we opened up in early December, and 4 months later we're shut down. So we weren't in 4 months' time. I wasn't able to build too much of a cushion financially to be able to sustain paying rent and all the things that go along with running a business. But just trying to fight through it and just stay positive, and we're almost through it, I think.
Is the government over there actually helping at all with businesses?
Yeah, the government is offering loans, like SBA loans, small business loans, and all that kind of stuff. The first round of loans, I think there was $350 billion that was going towards small businesses in America, and they ran out of money very quickly in like less than 2 days. And in the news, it turns out that bigger companies were receiving $20 million loans and leaving small businesses out. So I was not approved for a loan because the money ran out. Now all these other big companies, kind of like Shake Shack, received $10 million. They ended up giving it back, and did the right thing, I guess, because of all the backlash and all that kind of stuff, right? Ruth's Chris Steakhouse is another one that took $20 million in small business loans. And now there's petitions to get them to send the $20 million back so that, to give back to the small businesses. So it's kind of crazy how the government is giving big businesses with thousands of employees to small business loans.
Yeah, it doesn't really calculate. I think we've got given grants over here, but there were definitely rules based on the business rates we pay. So it couldn't have gone to a big business. If that makes sense, especially like a larger corporation. But yeah, I think it should have been regulated a little bit better because without small businesses, the economy just falls apart.
Yeah, I mean we're the heartbeat and the lifeline of economies.
Exactly, heart of the community. So in terms of owning a shop, is it being more difficult than you would imagine before, or?
Well, in terms of owning a shop in general, my life goal was to always open up one hair salon, and here I am now with two. But I didn't open up my first hair salon until 19 years after I started doing hair. I had so many opportunities to open up a shop and a salon, but I never wanted to do it unless it was time and unless it was right. And I finally got to a point where, I could do this. I told myself I could do this, and it's not without the help of my two business partners. I have two other partners that, we work as a team. And if I didn't have them, they didn't have me, vice versa, it just wouldn't work.
Are they hairstylists as well?
Yeah. Yep. They are hairstylists. We're all operating partners.
That's amazing because, I mean, I always wish I had someone like that I could pass some of the pressure over to. Yeah,
and the first hair salon we opened together, we had no investors. It was just the three of us all in, and it worked out pretty well. With the New York City one, I mean, New York City is a whole different animal. It's very expensive, so we did have one sole investor in it. But besides that, yeah, we're doing all right.
Do you all three of you split your time between the two shops, or?
We do, yeah. And one of my partners actually owns another salon, so he's got three salons. Wow. But we do consider us the Bermuda Triangle. So the three salons are in one network, and when we do our Monday education, it's all three salons in one. So we have we have over 50 people now between three salons that are we're all in it together.
Wow. It's definitely good to have partners, especially ones you can trust. And
yep,
if you say you wanted to go on a vacation or something, it's not going to fall apart and you're away.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I first came to know you, I guess, around, it was probably 2013, 2014, for your Be Awesome to Somebody project. How did that all come about? How did it start?
So what's funny is that back in you're just about right, about 2012, 2013, that's when Instagram started really like taking off and stuff, and that's when I first learned about you, before you learned about me. And the Nomad barber was the guy that was traveling around the world doing awesome things, doing haircuts. And back when I had like 600 followers on Instagram, I would look at your page. I was following you for a long time, and I would always be like, man, this guy's fucking doing it, man. He's like he's doing like what I dreamed to do is travel and do hair. And because I loved hair so much, I loved my craft so much, I was like, how do I do this? This is probably the first time I'm even telling you this, right? So yeah, like having having you as one of my biggest first inspirations in traveling and what I do is amazing. I mean, I'm so grateful for even you being in existence, But yeah, from I saw what you were doing. I was like, well, I can't do what he's doing. He's already done it, So it wasn't until like working my way up in the hair industry, doing hair for how many years now, and getting to a point where I just want to be successful and not knowing exactly what success is. Like when we're younger, we all want to be successful, but we automatically put it on this high pedestal and we're like, all right, but what is it? Right. So I'm working my way up. I make it to a point where I'm charging top dollar for a haircut in New York City. I made it to like one of the top 3 hair salons in New York at the time, back in 2012, 2013. Then I was charging like $150 for a haircut, men or women. And it's just charged for my time, right? And I got to a point where I was like, all right, I still don't feel successful. Like, when am I going to find success? And it wasn't until I stopped looking for it is when I found it. You know, I traveled back home to the Philippines to visit family, and experiencing real poverty in a developing country like the Philippines is really what got me to start doing what I started doing. And that's, you know, I rented a chair in a little barbershop in town in the Philippines, garage door that opens up, super hot, super humid. And I worked with the local barbers for the day, and I invited the homeless kids to come in for free haircuts. And that was my way of being able to give back. I had nothing else. This is what I do best, and this is what I'm going to try to give and share. And it wasn't until the first boy that sat on my chair I realized, like, I knew I was going to do something amazing for him, but what I did not realize is what it was going to do for me, to help me continue to do what I do. Like, that first boy that sat in the chair made me realize that I had like a real purpose in life, and made me find that success that I was looking for. You know, so the words that I live by is, I'm either expensive or I'm free, but I'm never cheap. And that's how I was able to find my success.
Wow. That was one of the questions. I remember you telling me the story about the kids in the Philippines. But you've done that again since you've been back there, and kind of.
Oh yeah. Since then I've been back. Like, I probably go like 4 or 5 times a year back to the Philippines to help out the kids there. I mean, they're like a 5-minute walk away from my family's home in the Philippines. There's a cemetery, and there's families that live in the cemetery. So I go back there a lot to spend time with the kids and just buy them food and whatever it is they need, you know. Actually, my daughter's first birthday, it was 2 years ago, when my daughter turned 1, I had a decision. Am I going to throw her a big 1-year-old birthday party? You know, it seemed pretty cool. That's what everybody does, right? But I was like, well, I mean, that's just a waste of money. She's not going to remember it. And it's like, so what I did instead was I sent money back home to the Philippines to throw a party for my daughter. Even though we were home here in America, I wanted to throw a party for the kids that live in the cemetery. So I sent it to my family, and my family went over to round up all the kids and took them to the local fast food restaurant called Jollibee, which kids freak out about Jollibee. I mean, I freak out about Jollibee. And they shut it down and rented the whole place out, and threw a big birthday party for my daughter. Had banners saying happy birthday to Lola. My daughter's name was Lola. But yeah, that's something she's going to remember for the rest of her life, having those kind of photos, you know, and actually doing something good at 1 year old.
It's amazing. Give me the timeline. So after you got back from the Philippines and you did the haircuts for the kids, when was it then you started doing the haircuts in New York?
Yeah, so that was back in like 2012. I rented that chair in the barbershop. And as soon as I got home, that first Sunday that week, I got home in New York City. I packed up my bag with all just like clippers and everything I needed to do a haircut without having to plug anything in. Packed it up and went for a walk on the streets of New York, and that's when it started. And I started going in the streets every single Sunday, just giving free haircuts. Sunday at the time was my only day off, so you know, I was working 6 days a week, busting my ass, and giving free haircuts on my day off.
Yeah, I do remember actually. I think I was traveling at the time when I saw one of your images, and I was like, because someone tagged me in and was like, or someone like sent it to me and was like, look, this guy's doing what you're doing. And I was like, oh, he's cutting hair outside. Like, what's this? Because obviously I was doing haircuts outside. But then I started to look into what you were doing, and I was like, wow, it's pretty powerful. I actually remember there was a guy an older guy in Connecticut. Did you ever see that post about the guy who was going to this park and giving
in the park? Yeah,
Joe Semaris or something his name was. Yeah, and I always remember thinking, wow, that's like a really cool thing to do. And then you popped up like a month later.
Yeah, and I didn't learn about him until I started doing it, and I was like, oh my god, this is awesome. And I looked into it, and I was like, this is the OG right here, the guy in the park, you know.
And I don't think he was actually a barber; he just wanted to do something good for people.
And which is amazing. But what I've learned over time of doing what I'm doing is that, you know, Most of the time I do it alone, and I purposely do it alone, so just so I can show people that, it's great to be part of a community or a group or a team and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, if you want to get something done, just go do it. If you wait around waiting for people to do this and that, then it could have already been done. But what I've learned, though, is that when I do have big events, like at the big hair shows and stuff, last year I had a big event in Premier Orlando. It's a show with about 75,000 hairdressers that go into Orlando, Florida. And I had a group of 50 hairdressers come with me to give free haircuts to foster children in the Orlando area. 350 foster kids came. And what I learned is that, I had 50 professional hairstylists, but even though these kids and whoever it is getting free haircuts, even though it's for free, they know how they want their hair. They're not going to just get their hair fucked up by anybody. And some of the pickiest clients I've had sit in my chair are the ones that don't pay. So I always say it's important to learn before you serve, because what we do as hairdressers and barbers, for what we do for a living, is to make people feel good. When you get a good haircut, you feel good about yourself. But when you get a bad haircut, you're going to feel worse about yourself. So it's important that we give good haircuts. And I get people reaching out to me every single day saying, hey, like, I love what you do. I cut my friends and family at home. I'm not a professional hairstylist, but next time you go out, I want to cut hair with you. And I'm just like, it's great that you want to do that, but like, I've been doing hair 21 years. Yeah. Like I'm not just fucking around. I'm giving better haircuts on the street for free than I am for my clients paying me $300 for a haircut. Yeah. Because I'm spending more time, and this free haircut can be a pivotal moment in their lives. It could turn their lives around. And that was actually the first time I ever hit the streets of New York. The first haircut I ever gave in New York City. When I was done with the haircut, the man looked in the mirror and said, do you know anybody that's hiring? I want to get a job. That was the first thing he said to me. So that just showed how powerful the haircut was for him.
It's changed your mindset instantly, doesn't it?
But if you got a fucked up haircut, he wouldn't have really thought the same, That's it.
Just because someone's homeless doesn't mean they don't know what a good haircut looks like.
Exactly.
Exactly. They might be begging, but they don't want to look terrible.
Yeah. We all know what it's, as a human being, we all know what it's like to have a choice.
Yeah.
And if it's something that you haven't had in a long time, and if you have this opportunity to get a really good haircut, you're going to get the haircut that you want. A lot of times people are like, oh, do you just give them whatever haircut you want? I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way. So no matter who it is that sits in the chair, whether they're getting it for free or it's a paying client, everybody knows that feeling of self-confidence,
I remember I went over to Calais when they're in the jungle camps that were there. They've been shut down now. It's the only time I've kind of done something probably similar to what you do. And I do remember there was different nationalities there. So you had the guys with like Afro hair, they were like Sudanese. And you had like the Iranian guys, and they were all so particular. They were like, you can't cut my hair. And I'm like, I'll give it a go. But they were so particular about it, even though they were living in these camps and stuff. So it's...
Yeah, you know all about that.
Yeah. It's not like, like people don't know what they want just because they're in a certain situation that they might not have been before. I mean, like the refugees might have been a doctor. Like a lot of them are like doctors, physicists, all these type of people, and they're in the situation because of a war happened in the country, or they've been kicked out and they're on the run. So it doesn't mean that they don't know what they want their hair like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know exactly what I.
So you've gone a little bit quieter.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, it's better.
Yeah, and like even though like I do a lot of haircuts for the homeless and stuff, but sometimes you realize that the people that struggle more are the low income people, because they actually have responsibilities. And I'm sure you've experienced a lot of that too, is that even though they're not homeless, but you're doing hair for people in different countries, their income is very low, but they still have their responsibilities, and life is sometimes more difficult that way, taking care of families and this and that. So the power of a haircut, which I know is pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's massive. Even like one of the places I always think about is in India. Some of the sharpest haircuts I've ever seen happen there. I probably couldn't even cut hair like a barber there, a barber that charges like 50 cents for a haircut, because they cut it in such a particular way, and the Indian boys love it that way, and that's what makes them feel good. You know what I mean? So like the nice sharp sideburns, the square at the back, side parted. They love it.
Yeah, and what we both learned is that when you go to places like India or the Philippines and charging 50 cents for a haircut, and these people getting haircuts for 50 cents, you look around in those areas, everybody's got a fresh haircut.
Yeah.
Everybody. Because that's how important it is for everybody to get a haircut, you know?
I think for a lot of cultures, a haircut and appearance in general is quite an important thing. It's a thing of pride. You know, even if you are poor, you should still look good. You should still represent yourself as a higher social status, regardless of what actual bracket you are in. You know.
Exactly. I mean, you always gotta. You never want to give away like all your flaws, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you always got to look good, and especially even during times where there's like recessions and all that kind of stuff, which the entire world may possibly go through. At the end of the day, we all still need to look good for our next job interview, you know? So barbers and hairstylists are still very important.
That's it. I'm not doing much. But after you started your project, it became a huge thing. On it, I feel like you were the pioneer. I mean, old Joe in the park, or whatever his name was probably the first, like the OG, like you say. But you were the pioneer within the Instagram world to go out and offer these obviously haircuts for people. What I see the difference being is that you were doing it from a humble, you were doing it for, like you were sending a positive message. It wasn't just about you making yourself famous. Do you know what I mean? So how did you kind of view that with like suddenly I saw like hundreds of barbers doing homeless haircuts around the world, maybe not for the right reasons.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, no matter what the reasons are and whatever it is that they want, whether it is to be famous or insta famous or get some sort of notoriety, you got to tell yourself that there's at least there's something positive coming out of it. You know, yeah, some of the videos and stuff you see are kind of ridiculous of people just trying to make themselves look amazing. But something good came out of it. So that's all that matters. And, you know, I used to get people saying to me all the time, oh, you have copycats here in London and Australia and here and there. And at the end of the day, I'm just like, well, that's the best copycat that I can have, because that's the whole reason I'm doing this, is to inspire other people, not just hairdressers, but anybody doing anything to be able to help. I can't do this alone. I can't cut every single person in the world alone. You know, we all got to do this together. Yeah. For whatever reason you want, fine, whatever. But as long as you're doing something good out of it and you're doing good haircuts is the most important thing, then yeah, keep doing it.
When you approach someone, what is the, like, do they quite often not want to actually be on camera as well if you are out with a photographer?
Yeah, if I do have a photographer out with me, I always make it a point that, you know, I let them know that I make sure it's okay for them to be photographed. Most of the time they're okay, and sometimes they're not, and that's fine too.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, I guess it's important not to just shove a camera in someone's face and say. Yeah. Yeah, it's a super cool project. I remember when I first read about it, it was interesting because you also, I think you were giving food out as well.
Yeah, I mean, actually, it all started with giving food. You know, that first time I went out on the streets with my backpack with all my clippers and stuff in the bag, when I first approached that individual, it wasn't about the haircut. It was about, are you hungry? And he said, well, yeah, I am hungry. That's actually why I'm standing, because I found the guy outside of a shelter called the Bowery Mission. And he was like, yeah, I'm hungry. I mean, that's why we're all standing here, is because it's about 5 o'clock and they're about to serve dinner at the food pantry. And I said, well, do you like what they give you? And he was like, no. And I was like, well, if you can have anything right now, what would it be? And he's like, huh? And he said, fried chicken and rice. I was like, all right, let's go get some fried chicken and rice. That's how it all started. And then the cherry on top was the haircut. But, you know, like I was saying earlier, everybody knows what it's like to have a choice. And when you approach these people with, what do you want to eat? I've had something as simple as a slice of pizza, fried chicken and rice, like that guy, or I've had someone that wanted a steak and potato dinner, and I got it for him. And there was actually one couple that I went up to, and they were in 34th and 6th in New York City, and there was like a local food buffet area, and they could have chosen anything they wanted. The selection was huge, and they walked out with salads. Both of them had salads, and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting. Why did you guys get salads when you can get anything you want?" And they said it's not often that we get a choice. And usually they get like half-eaten slices of pizza or like a half bag of chips. And they said all they ever do is eat unhealthy because they don't have a choice. So that moment they had a choice to eat healthy, and they did.
That's amazing. Yeah. I think it's interesting that some people just pick a slice of pizza or fried chicken and rice. It's a simple thing sometimes, isn't it? Just
yep, exactly.
Just having a choice, like you say.
Which actually leads me to just today I announced that obviously I'm not able to do hair. I do have a charity, and during these times right now, people need help, especially frontline workers and first responders and that kind of stuff. I just partnered up with one of my best friends that is a restaurateur. And we partnered up and are opening up 2 pop-up restaurants, non-for-profit restaurants to help feed first responders and frontline workers during this pandemic right now.
Wow.
So yeah, can't do hair, but still just trying to figure out ways to give back, and it's through food,
Amazing. Where is that happening?
In New Jersey, doing a Detroit style pizza and also a Thai style chicken, rotisserie chicken.
Nice.
2 pop-up restaurants that we've are launching this Friday. We're going to be open for business. And basically what it is that people can come in and purchase meals for their own families, but also at half the price, they can purchase a meal for a healthcare worker.
Wow. It's amazing. So your friend he owns his own restaurant? Are they on their own restaurant? Yeah,
he's got a bunch of restaurants through New Jersey.
Okay, amazing. That's something really positive to do, and to give back to the people who are, working all hours at the moment to try and keep everyone alive around the world.
Yeah, exactly, man.
Crazy. And you got barbers complaining on Instagram about not being able to open. It's like, well, people are dying, man. It's like, it's serious.
Yeah, hair is not going anywhere, and by the time the hair salons and barbershops do open, we're gonna be busy. So yeah, just rest up.
That's it. So in terms of the Be Awesome to Somebody project, what have you got in store for that?
There's a bunch of different things. I mean, between Be Awesome to Somebody, obviously I'm a hairdresser, but I do have like a government recognized charity. So with that, I've kept Be Awesome to Somebody very broad. It's not just for hairdressing, not to give free haircuts, but it's for anything and everything, which in turn enables me to be able to do this restaurant project. So right now, currently, that's happening is the restaurant project. And another thing that I've got in the works is building a well back in the Philippines, collaborating with a company by 2 friends of mine called Canvas Recruit, and they pretty much just connect the hairdressing world, and they've connected me with a company that provides eco-friendly shower heads for the shampoo bowls in the hair salons and barbershops, and with them we want to go over and build a well in the Philippines together.
Amazing. Is that quite costly to do?
It is very costly. It turns out that my uncle back home in the Philippines happens to be the general manager of the water district. So we have all the tools needed to get things done. And I asked him for an itemized list of everything that needs to be paid for. And I think it could be a few dollars off, but it was about $177,000 US to be able to get everything working properly. It's not just like a little pump and like a hand pump, it's like it's a big like.
That's what operation. I had in mind. Is like,
yeah, no, this is like an actual proper, pump station.
Nice.
That we want to build.
It's a good goal to have, and obviously it's going to help a lot of people.
Yeah. Great thing is that Canvas Recruit is, they've reached out to other companies. I believe Paul Mitchell wants to be involved, and other companies are in the works of being involved as well. So that would be great if we can get people on board.
Do you actually work with any hair companies at the minute yourself?
I think one unique thing about myself, being a stage presenter and platform artist and all that kind of stuff, is you're not going to find many other hairdressers out there that are on the platform that are not contracted stylists. I've actually never signed a deal with any other company ever, and I do that because I just like to say that you don't need this company or that company to become successful. If you just push hard and just create your own lane and your own path, you can do it. I mean, I'm a good example of it. I'm able to go to this company's event or that event or that event or that event and speak at all these events, when if you're signed with a company, you can't do any of that. You're stuck with that company. So I've been able to spread my word and pass my message along by just doing me and being able to get on everybody's stage.
Yeah, a lot of the times you have like a massive conflict of interest if you like you say, you can't collaborate with another brand if you can't even be on the same, like, another person's stage if it's sponsored by this other brand while you're working with this one brand, you know.
Exactly. I think the most important thing to have, and I think it might be a thing that hairdressers and barbers overlook, is a good lawyer. I don't have PR. I don't have agents. I've never had publicists. I've never had any of that stuff. But the two things in life I have is an accountant and a lawyer. Two most important things you need. And my lawyer enables me to do all these things that I'm doing. When you get contracts from companies, more often than not, in the small print of the company, they're going to try to take your life over. There's going to be times where things in the contract say that they have rights to your name and likeness for eternity. Yeah. And a lot of people don't see that kind of stuff, you know? So yeah, my lawyer enables me to work with all these different brands. I mean, I've worked with more brands outside of the hair industry than in. I mean, being able to work with Nike and then work with Under Armour 6 months later, if I didn't have a good lawyer, there's no way in hell I'd be able to do that, you know?
Yeah, because usually big brands like that have a exclusivity for 1 year or 2 year, or even like you say, they sometimes try and drop in like this eternity thing.
Exactly.
Is your lawyer, you said, is formerly or used to work in entertainment law?
Yeah, my lawyer is an entertainment lawyer.
Oh,
I don't think he's ever worn a suit in his life. He's a lawyer. But he's awesome. I mean, if there's any hairdresser or anybody out there that needs a good lawyer, like a contract lawyer, let me know.
Yeah. This episode is sponsored by Mark's Lawyer. What would you say? I know obviously the haircut for the young boy in the Philippines had quite a big effect on you, but are there any other stories that you have that you feel like of experiences during your, maybe the project years or your career in general, which have had a profound effect on the way you see life?
I mean, there's so many other different ways to be able to give back. I mean, whether it's for homeless people on the street or just giving back education wise. I mean, there's a lot of people that reach out to me saying, hey, like I'll have females reach out to me saying, hey, I want to be able to give back the way you do, but I'm a female and I'm scared to go out on the streets. I mean, that's the way I do it. You don't have to do it the same way. I mean, there's plenty of shelters and women and children's shelters and stuff that you can reach out to organizers of the shelters to be able to feel a little safer. Doing haircuts for the homeless is a major part of what I do, but I've also traveled to different areas like Nicaragua, teaching hair at a beauty school for women transitioning out of prostitution, so that they can learn a real trade. And experiencing things like that and learning their stories while I'm at it is kind of crazy. I mean, when I was out there, like, none of these girls were homeless, but they were former prostitutes, 16, 17-year-old girls. And what I learned is that they weren't prostituting for money; they were prostituting for good trash. So these men would go in the dump sites and try to salvage anything decent they can find out of the trash, and that's what they would pay these young girls with, so that the girls can go on and sell it. Stories get crazier and crazier as you learn things.
Yeah. I guess everyone's got a story, and every country, yeah, it's mind blowing, isn't it? People are fascinating.
Oh yeah. I know you've spent a lot of time in India. I was fortunate enough to go out there one time to Mumbai, India, to give haircuts in the Dharavi slums.
I remember. I think I remember seeing something about that.
Yeah. So you know all about that lifestyle and stuff, and
Yeah,
we've been talking that we need to travel somewhere together. I think that would be the ultimate collab.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
It'd be like we travel, we make a documentary, but then we also give haircuts out to some people. We'll try and get them up a mountain or something.
Yeah.
I think India and Southeast Asia is always somewhere I've always wanted to kind of cross over into the humanitarian world. But obviously I did things back to front to you. I opened the shops years ago, and then I've not had any time to go and do that. But it's definitely something I'd like to explore. What fascinates me about in Southeast Asia, especially, there's a lot of like hair schools and beauty schools where like they get like young orphans or people who've, like you say, people who, like prostitutes, sex workers, people who've been trafficked, and give them a trade. So I think they're really, really, really interesting things to explore. Something I'd like to go into.
Yeah, for sure. 2020 doesn't look like the best year to do it, but we got to do a little collab in 2021 maybe.
Yeah, we'll know if the world hasn't ended by then.
Exactly.
I think Philippines is definitely up there on the list of, I think I mentioned to you before, I really want to go to. So do you know a lot about your family history coming from the Philippines?
Yeah, my family comes from a little province 2 hours north of Manila, the capital city of the Philippines. Yeah, 2 hour drive. And the Philippines is actually made up of over 7,000 islands. So there's so many different places to see. It would be great to go over there. We should go over there. I mean, if I have connections anywhere in the world, it's the Philippines.
Yeah, that's crazy. Do you speak Filipino?
I can understand, the main language is called Tagalog. I can understand like maybe 50% Tagalog. My parents spoke to me in our dialect called Kapampangan. So the province that my family's from is called Pampanga, and the language is called Kapampangan.
What is the main religion in the Philippines?
It's mostly Catholic, but also Muslim.
Oh, really?
Muslim and Catholic, yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
I never knew that until traveling through. I noticed a lot of Muslims in certain regions of the Philippines.
Yeah. So it was a colony of who? The Spanish?
Yeah, it was a Spanish colony. Not even that long ago.
Yeah. When did that? Do you know when that ended? Or
I should know the answer to that, but
that's okay.
It didn't end too long ago, which is why if you see any Asian person with a Spanish last name, we're 1,000% Filipino.
Well, so this is what blew my mind when I first started speaking to people in the US, and like even like yourself, and I'd be like, and then there's Rich like Mendoza, and I'm like, but he doesn't look Latin, but maybe could be. Because you have like people like me or some other people in Latin America who have kind of like Asian eyes, but then I worked out everyone was just Filipino.
Yeah.
So we just had a little break there, technical difficulties, but we're back. But your family's not actually religious themselves?
My family is very Catholic.
Yeah?
Yeah, I grew up going to church every Sunday with them.
Are you quite big on it yourself, or are you kind of dropped off?
Since my parents are not listening, I will say that I have not gone to church in a long time.
I think for me, I was brought up Catholic as well, but we were kind of given a bit of we weren't forced to go.
Yeah.
So we were allowed to make up our own decision. One of my sisters still goes to church quite often. The other sister's Muslim, and then I'm just a wacky spiritualist.
Yeah, same. I mean, I just believe in doing the right thing, but I still celebrate Christmas and Easter and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's more just fun though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was saying to Jodie yesterday, the only thing I've got involved in is actually just watching Jesus Christ Superstar last week.
There you go. Now that I have a 3-year-old daughter and she's actually able to start understanding things, I'm trying to, I want to explain to her Jesus and all that kind of stuff. And she's at an age now where she's obsessed with princesses. So I actually live right across the street from a church. And she looks over at the church and she calls it the castle, the princess's castle. And I'm like, no, that's where Jesus lives. And she's like, oh, Princess Jesus. I'm like, okay, yes, Princess Jesus.
Oh, that's so funny. What type of church is it? Just like a normal Catholic church, or is it Christian?
Yeah, just normal Catholic church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the way kids' minds work.
I know.
Yeah.
I took her across the street to ride her scooter, and I wanted her to take pictures by the stairs leading up to the church. And she's like, no, the princess is going to get mad. I'm like, the princess is not going to get mad.
So cute. I remember, I think I was in New York maybe when your ex-partner was pregnant. I think that would have been around that time.
Yeah,
or just before.
Oh, that was a while ago. Yeah, that was over 3 years
a
ago.
long time ago. So tell me about Lola's art, because I've seen a little bit about that.
Yeah, she's when she was 2, she had her own solo art exhibition in New York City, and it caught a lot of press. And she sold 32 out of 40 paintings, averaging at about $1,500 a piece.
Wow.
So she did pretty well. She's working on a whole new gallery. She's got like over 70 new pieces now. Trying to get her work into the New York City Children's Museum.
Wow.
But yeah, she did really well. She was featured on all different things, and she was on TV, and yeah, it's cool.
That's so crazy. But how did it come about? Did you just notice one day she was really into?
I mean,
creating?
just like any kid, you give a kid some crayons or a paintbrush, you're just gonna doodle and fuck around. And it was her mother's friend that was an artist and realized that there could be something here. So petitioned her artwork to be in a gallery, and it went through, and it blew up.
That's mad. I was going to say something, and then I just heard myself in your speaker. So do you think she actually comprehends how big it is? Or is she just kind of going with the flow?
No, she definitely doesn't comprehend how big it is. She does understand the whole art part of it. I mean, if she sees her artwork on the wall, she'd be like, "Oh, that's my painting," She says hello and goodbye and blows her artwork kisses when she leaves the house and stuff. So it's really cute.
That's so cute. Has being a father kind of changed the way you operate as a human? Yeah,
for sure. I mean, it's the biggest blessing I ever received in my life is having my daughter. I didn't realize it then, but now it's just I go through life asking myself one question, and it's, will this make my daughter proud? And that's just how I operate. That's how I navigate through life, is with that one question.
Yeah. What was the question before you had your daughter?
I didn't have any question. It was kind of just like, it was a mess, Everybody wants to just do something with their lives and say yes to everything. And yeah, so it just really helped.
Being a busy person, 2 shops, countless projects on the go, always doing something. How do you keep on top of your mental and physical health?
I've always been a pretty active person. Just, every day, if I work, I can't start my day without going to the gym. So I always work out in the morning before I go to work. Being that I haven't worked in over a month, I haven't worked out too much. It's been kind of nice, but I got to get back in it. But yeah, just staying active, staying healthy, and having a team. Without a team, you can't really operate and do everything all at once.
I remember seeing it might have been, I can't remember which, maybe the Under Armour or Nike, I'm not really sure. You were doing all the muscle ups and stuff.
Yeah. I shot a commercial with Under Armour. That was the most fun and most difficult shoot I've ever done. They're not going to get the perfect shot with one take of a workout. So I did every workout at least 5 times. I had to do a rope climb 5 times. I had to do the muscle ups 5 times. I had to do everything. By the end of it, I was dead.
What type? So, do you usually do quite functional workouts, or does it differ quite a lot?
Yeah, I try to mix up a little bit of everything. I mean, just weight training and cardio, and functional workouts. I mean, push-ups, pull-ups, dips, that kind of stuff. Like body weight workouts is, I think, most beneficial, especially at this age. I mean, I'm not too young anymore, so being able to just carry my own weight is, and having body control is always the best thing, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it definitely surprised me when I saw the video because I don't think I'd ever seen anything about you working out. It's not like something you post about. You know what I mean? Like some people post about it a lot, some people don't.
Yeah.
And then I was like, whoa, what's Mark doing all these muscle ups on this advert? That's it.
Yeah, I mean, it's I grew up in that as an athlete playing football, American football, basketball, and baseball. So just all my life since I was like 12 years old, it was a constant in my life. I was working out, being in the gym, and that kind of stuff. So it's not like I'm not going to post about putting my socks on every day, right? Because it's a normal thing.
You should start doing that every morning.
I know, right? Look at me.
Some people have like some Instagrammers have like their routines that they put up the same post every day, like pouring a shot of coffee. Mark Bustos puts on his socks. Do you have any other like things that you're passionate about or hobbies outside of cutting hair?
I don't know. I mean, hair is the best thing I do. I mean, don't ask me to do anything else for you. I'm probably not good at it.
Well, I mean, I think sometimes it's always good to have things that away from hair. But obviously, you've got the gym, you've got your daughter, you've got all these other projects that you probably don't have time to have any hobbies anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've slowly just started getting into actually watching series on Netflix and stuff like that. For the past 6 years, I never even had Netflix. I finally just downloaded a Netflix not too long ago, so I'm able to actually be a normal person sometimes and shut it down sometimes, you know.
Yeah. What are you hooked on at the moment? What have you been watching?
Well, my girlfriend and I just finished watching Breaking Bad for the first time. That was actually really good. Just watched the series on Nat Geo with Picasso.
Oh wow!
It was actually pretty good. It was 1 season, 10 episodes.
Nice. Pretty grown up and adult.
Exactly.
I still haven't seen Breaking Bad actually.
It's long. It's 5 seasons, but it's really good.
Yeah, you need to actually don't get into Game of Thrones. The last series was terrible.
Oh really? Yeah, I thought about getting into it, but I know it's going to be a big commitment for sure.
Yeah, it's quite a lot, like hour long episodes and lots of seasons to catch up on.
Yeah, maybe not now.
Have things panned out for you how you imagined they would have when you were younger, like say 20-year-old?
I think at this point I've exceeded my expectations for what I thought I would have at this moment. Because when you're young, you tell yourself you want to do this. My goal was I wanted to own a barbershop. Now I own multiple hair salons, and at every single day is, and you learn something every single day. You're always continuously learning and continuously raising the bar for yourself, and you get to a point where you say, I didn't get this far just to get this far. So it's like a never-ending process of growth, which actually the name of my first hair salon is called the Silver Vine Room. And the reason for that is because, like in the Olympics, gold, silver, and bronze, silver means you're in second place. And came up with that name because when you're in second place, there's always going to be room for growth. You're always going to be inspired by someone. You're always going to be chasing someone to grow. When you're in first place, you're the best already, and there's not much room to grow. So that was the reason behind the Silver Vine Room, is because of continuous growth and being in second place and being the second best.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing. Do you have any personal goals that you still want to kind of hit, or do you kind of like to stay more present?
The one personal goal I always had was to have my own like documentary series, kind of like like an Anthony Bourdain, something of that sort. And I've had so many different opportunities with some of the biggest TV producers out there, and I've turned them all down because it wasn't, their approach wasn't the same as my approach. Their vision wasn't the same as my vision, and I wasn't going to be the person that was going to sell out. I wanted to be real and authentic, and over time, I've learned that there's a give and take, and I realized that there's got to be some sort of a cadence in everything, which I'm learning. So yeah, hopefully I get more opportunities.
I've probably been in a similar position in terms of like over the years being in countless talks with different production companies and hoping to pitch to certain networks, but it's always gone one way or the other. Like their vision's not the same as mine, or mine's not the same as theirs, and they want to pigeonhole you maybe into like you go and do what you've done before, but do it in the West Coast of America, or do you know what I mean? It's like it's very specific to what they want versus what you think will look good. You never know. We end up on a TV show together.
Yeah, man. I mean, that'd be awesome.
Sick. So, I mean, I guess wrapping it up, is there anything you want to add to that you feel needs to be spoken about? Speak your truth, Mark.
I mean, wholeheartedly, I would just have to say, like, I mean, obviously we're both barbers and hairstylists, right? But no matter what you do, for whoever it is that's listening out there, no matter what you do in life, I mean, there's find what you do, find what you're passionate about, and share it with as many people as you can. And I think it'll just make the world better.
Yeah, that's pretty good advice. Definitely take that on board myself. Sick. Well, do you want to just pass on and just say it out loud, your social media profile and where maybe they can find the charity, etc.?
My Instagram is just my name, Mark Bustos, MarkBustos, and my charity is called Be Awesome to Somebody, and you can find information on beawesometosomebody.com.
Perfect. Sick, man. Well, stay on the line, but I'll say bye to you as if we're saying bye.
Cool.
For the podcast. So cheers, bro.
All right, man.